The Zephyrian High Council erupted in laughter as the primitive human vessel entered their system. Admiral Kexthel's four eyes sparkled with amusement as he watched the tiny craft drift toward their magnificent homeworld of Zephyr Prime, its crystalline spires reaching into the violet sky like frozen lightning. "Look at that pathetic thing," he wheezed, his translator struggling to convey his species' complex vocalizations. "It's smaller than our cargo haulers. What could these hairless apes possibly want with us?" The human ship endurance was indeed modest by galactic standards. A mere 300 meters of gunmetal gray hull scarred by countless asteroid impacts and solar radiation. No elegant curves or bioluminescent displays like the Zephyrian vessels. No quantum resonance fields or probability shields. Just crude metal plating and what appeared to be primitive chemical propulsion systems. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she studied the massive planet before them. Zephyr Prime was a sight to behold, 3 times larger than Earth, its surface covered in sprawling cities that sparkled like jewels. Orbital platforms ringed the world, each one larger than Luna Station back home. "They're hailing us, Captain," reported Lieutenant Morrison from communications. "Audio only. They sound amused." Chen nodded grimly. She'd expected this. Humanity had been the galaxy's joke for the past 50 years since first contact. Too young, too primitive, too violent. The other species tolerated them because Earth had little worth taking and posed no threat to anyone. Until now. "This is Admiral Kexthul of the Zephyrian Defense Fleet," came the transmission. "Little human ship, you are trespassing in our sovereign space. Turn around and return to your mudball before we decide to swat you out of existence." Raucous laughter echoed through the comm channel. Chen could hear dozens of Zephyrian voices in the background, all finding the situation hilarious. "Tell them we're here to negotiate," Chen said quietly. Morrison relayed the message. The laughter grew louder. "Negotiate?" Kexthul's voice was thick with contempt. "What could you possibly offer us? Your species hasn't even mastered faster than light travel, without using those ridiculous wormhole generators. You burn dead plants for energy. You wage wars over invisible lines on maps. You are barely evolved from the beast you once were." The insults continued for several minutes. The Zephyrians were clearly enjoying themselves, describing humanity's primitive nature in increasingly creative ways. They mocked human religion, human art, human technology. They called them cancer upon the galaxy, a species so backward that they still believed in individual achievement rather than collective consciousness. Through it all, Captain Chen remained silent, her jaw set in a hard line. Behind her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, running final system checks. In the cargo bay, Dr. Elizabeth Hawking made last-minute adjustments to her life's work. "Captain," Morrison said softly, "they're demanding we leave immediately or face destruction." Chen looked out at the beautiful world before them, at the billions of beings who had spent the last half-century treating her species like an embarrassing mistake. She thought of the colonies the Zephyrians had blockaded, the trade routes they'd closed to human ships, the young explorers who died because primitive human vessels weren't allowed to dock at civilized stations for emergency repairs. "Open a channel," she said. "Admiral Kexthul." Chen's voice cut through their laughter like a blade. "I want you to understand something. We didn't come here to trade. We didn't come here to beg for acceptance or ask for permission to exist in your galaxy." The laughter died away. Something in the human's tone demanded attention. "We came here to deliver a message," Chen continued. "For 50 years you've treated us like children. You've mocked our achievements, dismissed our potential, and blocked our expansion at every turn. You've convinced yourselves that we're too primitive to matter, too weak to threaten your precious civilization." Admiral Kexthul's voice turned cold. "And what message is that, little human?" Chen smiled, though the Zephyrians couldn't see it. "That you're right. We are different from you. We are violent. We are stubborn. We don't share your collective consciousness or your technological elegance, but there's something you've forgotten in all your superiority." She paused, watching as Zephyrian defense platforms began to pivot toward her ship. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe isn't the most advanced civilization. Sometimes it's the one crazy enough to build a planet killer and desperate enough to use it. The words hung in space like a death sentence. On Zephyr Prime, Admiral Kexthul's blood turned to ice as his sensors finally penetrated the human ship's crude hull plating. What he saw inside made his 4 hearts stop beating. The Endurance wasn't a ship at all. It was a weapon. A massive quantum singularity generator powered by what appeared to be an artificial black hole, contained by magnetic fields so primitive they should have failed decades ago. The humans had built something that violated every safety protocol in the galaxy, and somehow made it work. "You're insane," Kexthul whispered. "That thing could destroy your own ship. It could tear apart space-time itself." "Dr. Hawking assures me the calculations are sound," Chen replied. "Of course, she also said there's a 15% chance it might crack your planet's core, instead of just creating a localized gravitational anomaly. But hey, we're just primitive humans. What do we know about physics?" Panic spread through the Zephyrian fleet. Ships scattered in all directions as alarms screamed across their communication networks. The orbital platforms fired up their emergency evacuation protocols. Chen watched the chaos with satisfaction. "Here's our message, Admiral. Stop underestimating us. Stop blocking our expansion. Stop treating us like children who don't belong in your galaxy. Because the next time you mock a human ship..." She let the threat hang in the void. You might not get the chance to laugh about it. The Endurance turned slowly and headed back toward the system's edge, leaving behind a traumatized civilization and a galaxy that would never look at humanity the same way again.